Hi Year 4, welcome to your next video. Now today we are going to be thinking about units of measurement and we're going to be revising how we can convert, that means how we can change units of measurement between meters and centimeters in particularly. But we'll make sure we're aware of the skills we'd need if we wanted to convert between other units of measurement too. So when we are measuring a length, we can measure with a few different units of measurement, depending if we're measuring a small length or particularly long length. So if we think about one of our smallest units of measurement, we'd be thinking of the millimetre. Now, if you had a ruler, you'd be able to see in between each centimetre, there are 10 tiny little millimetres. So 10 millimetres equal 1 centimetre. Our centimetres, if we wanted to visualise a centimetre, it would probably be about the width of one of your fingers. Okay, so we're starting small with the millimetres, then we have our centimetres. Okay, if we have 100 centimetres, that gets us a metre. Now to visualise a metre, if you were to stretch your arms out as wide as they would go, the span, your arm span, would probably be about 1 metre. Mine's a little bit longer, I've got longer arms than you, but to estimate a metre, it's about your arm span. And then if we wanted to measure something which was really long, for example, maybe a walk or a bike ride or a journey, we could measure in kilometres. Now there are 1,000 metres in a kilometre. So we could measure from, let's say, Shaftesbury Park all the way down to the Clapham Junction Asda. That's about 1 kilometre. So when we're measuring length, we can measure in millimetres, centimetres, metres, or even further, thinking into the distance, we can measure in kilometres. So today we're going to start by recapping our skills of timesing by 10, 100 and 1000 and dividing by 10, 100 and 1000 so that we can convert between these units of measure. And then I'm going to show you how we can use those skills to answer some problems about area and perimeter as well. Okay, good luck. Okay, so like I mentioned before, we are thinking about the units of measurement that we can use to measure length. So we talked about millimetres being a very small unit of measurement. We would use millimetres to measure something, say for example, the length of an ant or another small insect. When we have 10 millimetres is the same as 1 centimetre. Now centimetres we can use to measure something which is still quite small. Let's say, for example, the length of a book or your hand span from the tip of your little finger to the tip of your thumb. When we have 100 centimetres, that gets us to 1 metre. Now metres, like I said before, visualising a metre is about your arm span. We might use metres at sports day to measure how far someone jumped in the long jump, or maybe to measure the length of our assembly hall, for example. We'd use metres for that. And then 1,000 metres is a kilometre. So we use those to measure much longer lengths. So for example, if you're going on a journey, you might measure how many kilometres your journey is going to be, or if you've gone on a long walk or a bike ride. Okay, so millimetres, centimetres, metres and kilometres. So we're going to be thinking particularly about centimetres and metres today and for your next couple of tasks. So like I said, 1 metre is the same as 100 centimetres. So 2 metres would be 200 centimetres. 3 metres would be, that's right, 300 centimetres. 4 metres would be 400 centimetres. And 5 metres would be 500 centimetres. Excellent. So I want you to just have a think and pause your video and think about what calculation could we do to turn metres into centimetres. How can I turn that 1 metre into 100 for 100 centimetres? Or the 2 metres to get to 200 centimetres? What is the mathematical calculation that I am doing? So if you said we are timesing by 100, then you are absolutely right. So to turn meters into centimeters, we need to times by 100. That's because centimeters are smaller than meters. So if we were measuring something in centimeters, we'd need lots of them to measure the same thing that we've measured in meters. If I've measured the length of our assembly hall in meters, and then I want to measure it in centimeters, I'm going to need lots and lots of centimeters, but only probably a few meters. So as our unit of measurement gets smaller, so goes down to centimeters or even down to millimeters, we need more of them. So that's why we multiply. Our number's going to get bigger. So to turn meters into centimeters, we multiply by 100. Let's have a look at a few other conversions we could do. So meters into centimeters, we can see we multiply by 100. Let's have a think about smaller units of measurement. Let's think about our 1 centimetre. Now we know that there are 10 millimetres in 1 centimetre. So what do you think I would have to do to convert a measurement in centimetres into millimetres? So in order to turn centimetres into millimetres, we would need to multiply by 10, because 1 centimetre is 10 millimetres. So to turn centimetres into millimetres, we times by 10. How about our kilometres into metres? We know that 1 kilometre equals 1,000 metres. So what do you think we will have to do to convert 1 kilometre into metres, to change kilometres into metres? That's right, we would have to multiply by 1,000. If we wanted to do the inverse, turning millimetres into centimetres, or centimetres into metres, or metres into kilometres, we would use the inverse operation. So you can see in this image here, we've got our arrows showing us what direction we're converting. So kilometres to metres, we multiply by 1,000. Metres to centimetres, multiply by 100. Centimetres to millimetres, multiply by 10. And if we're doing it the other way around, we use the inverse operation, we divide. So millimetres to centimetres, we divide by 10. Centimetres to metres, we divide by 100. Metres to kilometres, we divide by 1,000. So for example, if we had 5 kilometres and we want to know how many metres that is, kilometres to metres, we need to multiply by 1,000. 5 multiplied by 1,000 is 5,000. So it'd be 5,000 metres. 120 centimetres, and how many metres that would be? Centimetres to metres, we divide by 100. So 120 divided by 100 is 1.2. So it's 1.2 metres. Now I'm going to show you very quickly a place value grid to remind us how we multiply and divide by 10, 100 and 1,000. Okay, so here I've got my place value grid, and you'll notice I've got my 10,000, thousands, hundreds, tens, ones, which are sometimes called units, my decimal point, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So I'm going to start with a number. Let's start with 42. Now I want you to think what happens to those digits when I multiply the number by 10. So 42 means I've got a 4 in the tens column and a 2 in my units, a 2 in my ones column. When I multiply by 10, have a look what happens. So you can see the 4 has moved up a place value column, so it's now 400. My 2 has moved up a place value column, so it's now 2 tens, 20. And a 0 has appeared in my ones column. Keep the place value. So 42 multiplied by 10 becomes 420. So when we multiply a number by 10, each digit moves up one place value column. So what do you think will happen if I multiply this number by 10 again? I've got 420. What do you think is going to happen if I multiply by 10? So multiply by 10, the digits move up one place value column. So my 4 is now 4,000, my 2 is now 200, and I have zeros in my empty columns to keep the place value. so that I know this is a 4,000. I know this is 200. So 4,200. Okay, let's bring it back down to 42. So timesing by 10 means all the digits move up one place value column. When we multiply by 100, the digits are going to move up two place value columns. So at the moment, 42, my 4 is in my tens column, my 2 is in my ones column. If I multiply by 100, they're all going to move up two place value columns. My 4 will move up to my thousands column. My 2 will move up to my hundreds column. Let's check. So 42 multiplied by 100 equals 4,200. They all moved up two place value columns. So multiplying by 10, all the digits move up one place value column. Multiplied by 100, all the digits move up two place value columns. What do you think is going to happen if I do the inverse? I'm dividing by 10 or dividing by 100. So if we're dividing, our number is going to be getting smaller, which means our digits are going to move down the place value grid. So if I divide by 10, my digits are going to move down one place value column. So 42 divided by 10 becomes 4.2. My 4 is now worth 4 ones. My 2 has moved into the tenths column, so it's 2/10. If I want to divide by 100, my digits are going to move down two place value columns. Where do you think the digits are going to move to? If I've got 42 and I want to divide by 100, can you tell me what my answer is going to be? Let's check. So I'm going to divide by 100, so those digits are all going to move down two place value columns. So my answer is 0.42. The 4 has moved down to my tenths column, the 2 has moved down to my hundredths column. I've kept a 0 in my ones column to keep the place value, and my decimal point is in the correct place. So important things to remember: when we times by 10, we move up one place value column. When we times by 100, we move up two place value columns. Dividing by 10, they move down one place value column. Dividing by 100, they move down two place value columns.